Okay, for this one, a lot of people overthought this one, and I saw a lot of people like literally making tables and trying to figure it out. And honestly, if you did it that way, that's fine, though it's definitely not the easiest way. Let me just do it the easiest, fastest way I possibly can. Okay, George loves catching and eating mice. George is obviously a cat. So far, George has eaten 45 mice. He eats about 6 mice per week. How many weeks until George eats 81 mice? First thing I want to do is write an equation. So my equation would be in the form y equals mx plus b. We know this because, first of all, you don't need to know this. Everything we're doing right now is y equals mx plus b. But we know because he's eating the same amount of mice every week, so it's adding, and that's a linear function. Okay. So, and this is the linear equation. This is our m, which is our change. Okay, that same thing that comes up over and over again, change and start. Okay, so we have a few numbers here. He has eaten 45 mice. He eats about 6 mice per week. Okay, starting there, we can write our equation. Well, has eaten 45 is where we're starting. So we know y is going to equal something x plus 45. So he eats 6 mice per week. That's what's changing. So it's 6 for our m. So y equals 6x plus 45. Okay, that's the first part. Second part, what about this eats 81 mice? And this is where we got to say, oh, well, what is that 81? Is that an x or is that a y? It's going to be one of the two. Well, the way we figure that out is we got to identify the x and the y. Okay, and remember, when we talk about this, we're talking about units of measurement. The easiest way to do this is think about that slope. Remember, the slope is changing. Well, what is it? What is changing? So let's look back at our slope, our 6. So it's 6 what? Well, it's 6 mice. So that's going to be one of either the x or the y. That's the thing that's changing. And how often is it changing? Well, it's changing every week. Those are the two things we're changing. If you look at the slope, that is going to tell you the two units, mice and weeks. Now, we got to figure out which one's which. Now, I've told you this a million times. Time is pretty much always x. So this is going to be weeks. And the other thing is going to be the y, whether that's money or distance, all kinds of things. But time is pretty much always your x if there's time. The reason for that is the time, the weeks in this case, is changing how many mice have been eaten. Mice being eaten doesn't change how many weeks it is. This is affecting this, not the other way around. The longer this cat's been going around eating stuff, the more mice. So anyway, that's getting into all that. But time is always your x. So we have y equals 6x plus 45. We know that 81, now we've said it's 81 mice, which is a y. And that's super important because this 81 is going to get plugged in for y. And then it becomes a very simple two-step equation. So I'm going to rewrite this now. 81 equals, we just keep the rest of 6x plus 45. And that makes sense because we're going to be solving for x. The question is, how many weeks? That's what we want to know. X is our weeks. So when we find x, that's telling us the weeks. It all makes sense when you start breaking it down. So minus 45. This is a two-step equation. If you're struggling with two-step equations, you need to reach out. I'm going to do this the long way because sometimes you got to do these without a calculator. So 11 minus 5 would be 6. 7 minus 4 would be 36 equals 6x. Okay, divide by 6, divide by 6. X equals 6. So 6 what? 6 weeks. Don't forget to add the weeks. Answer the question. It took 6 weeks. Boom.